Good evening, I'm David Susskind. Dining in a fine restaurant can be one of life's great pleasures. But a fine restaurant involves more than just good food. It combines style and warmth with the desire to please. Tonight, 6 of the top restaurateurs in the country tell us what it takes to make and keep a restaurant great. Please meet my guests now. First, there's Sheldon Tannen. He's director of 21, which has been a great New York institution for over 50 years. Warner LEROY created Maxwell's PLUM, and he also owns Tavern on the Green, 2 unique and excellent restaurants in Manhattan. For 45 years, EDMUND LILLYS has owned and operated the Gloucester House, known for its great seafood. Trained in Europe, SIRIO MACCIONI is the owner of Le CIRQUE, for my money, the finest French restaurant in New York City. Vincent Sardi is proprietor of SARDI'S, a landmark in New York's theatrical district. And Peter ASCHKENASY is president of the American Hospitality Management Company, which owns and operates a chain of restaurants including the U.S. Steakhouse, the American Charcuterie, CHARLEY's, and LUCHOW'S, each unique and memorable. According to one writer, whose name is Fred Ferretti of the New York Times, a great restaurant is the result of a master chef, fine ingredients, attention to detail, ambiance, and owner pride. What do you say, Sheldon Tannen?
I think he's totally right. That's part of what goes into making a great restaurant.
Part?
Part.
There's more.
Oh, lots more. As we can all attest, it's getting up early in the morning and making sure that the produce that has come into your restaurant is absolutely right. It's dealing with your personnel. It's making sure that your reservation system is adequately taken care of. There are thousands and thousands of details to be thought of, to be taken care of, and to make sure that all of these things are orchestrated properly by you as the orchestra leader, by your captains, waiters, and your chef, and all of your people who are going to be greeting your customers once your door is open.
Any argument, Warner LEROY?
No, but you also have to have nice suits.
Yeah, listen, I want to ask you about that.
Doesn't work.
Where did you get that suit? I mean, and do you feel odd wearing it?
No, this is just a normal business suit. I got this in Harrods, the fabric in Harrods. It was made by a great tailor in New York named
Don't identify him. You could put him on a business.
That's why I almost couldn't say it because I know it's going to ruin it. No, but actually that is part of the show. I mean, that is another point about a restaurant, which is the ambiance. And I think that the show, which has to do with the way the food is served and the look of it and the way the people look and the way your establishment looks, I think that upkeep of an establishment is very important as well. Something you have to really keep it at its best and exciting and gleaming.
SIRIO, you came along a year or 2 ago in a city of New York with many great French restaurants. And you open, and suddenly you are the smash success. And everyone wants to go to Le CIRQUE because, why?
I think more or less is the same problem, the same point that Mr. Shannon and Mr. Warner LEROY made. You have to try to be there. You have to like what you're doing. I do. I like the people that work with me. I like all the restaurateurs in New York. Almost all the critics, too. And,
almost all the critics. We're going to come to food critics. No.
Well, it's all right. But I like my customers. They are always the same. And every time a face disappears, I find out what happened to him, and they want to know why. I haven't seen him in quite some time. And,
no, but your service is extraordinary. The food is exquisite.
I have a very good chef.
Very good chef.
And he's a nice man. You know, when a chef, after 350 between lunch and dinner a day, at 11:30, quarter to 12, he come to you, smile and say, good night, see you tomorrow. I think it's a really big thing to accomplish. And at the moment, I have that. And so that makes me feel good.
Vincent Sardi, I mean, you're the 2nd generation of a great restaurant. People come to New York, among the traditions that they wish to visit is the Sardi restaurant. Why?
Well, I think part of everything that's been said so far, I agree with. Part of it also is your clientele. The clientele becomes part of the ambiance. And I think there are 6 of us here. We have 6 completely different restaurants. We have a mixture of clients that will go to all of us, but there's a basic clientele that's 21. There's a basic of the CIRQUE and the TAVERN and SARDI'S, and I think that's definitely part of the success of the restaurant.
Is that true, Peter?
I think so. I mean, I love the challenge of doing business in New York. The market is so diverse, and I love the challenge of in different restaurants appealing to different segments of the market. The challenge of LUCHOW'S at the moment, trying to restore something that's 98 years old, and knowing
the
that
public in Boston and the public in San Francisco and Los Angeles and, I don't know, Detroit, will not know that LUCHOW'S dates back to Lillian Russell.
Right.
And Diamond Jim Brady. They used to go there resplendent with their jewels and their canes and their top hats. And now you've just purchased it and you have rehabilitated.
Well, we're on the way. We've certainly rehabilitated it. We're on the way to trying to bring back that old standard. I mean, it's, for instance, it got the first liquor license in this country after Prohibition. There's just no precedent, no person that has ever come to New York over the last 100 years that hasn't been there. And it was closed in June. And really to hundreds of thousands of people, that was a loss. And the challenge of trying to bring something back in a neighborhood that's not the same as Midtown, that's a more difficult neighborhood, is really a great one and a very satisfying experience. And the challenge of trying to relate to holiday volumes, as happened at Thanksgiving, as happened now in the holiday season, is one that keeps you thinking and keeps you frustrated and satisfied all at once till you solve the problems.
Mr. Lilly, you have the great seafood restaurant, Gloucester House.
Thank you.
And the price of seafood has gone out of sight. Are there times when you feel frustrated and angry with the whole business of running a seafood
There's
restaurant?
nothing you can do about it but go along. Everybody knows the price of fish
Why?
gone up out of proportion to everything else so
Why?
far. Everybody eats fish. It's the thing
Well,
to
everybody
eat now.
eats chicken. Everybody eats
More than ever before, everybody
steak.
eats fish.
Hamburger.
And there isn't enough to go around.
Is the price of seafood astronomical because the catches are smaller?
Smaller than they have been in the past, proportionately speaking, to the amount of people that are eating fish these days.
And the Japanese are eating a tremendous amount of fish. And
This is
they're
not-
taking
There
fish
they go
from
again, the Japanese.
from our markets.
But there's another point too, and that's the frozen food. Once fresh fish, you couldn't get fish all through America. Now you'll get fish all over the United States. Part of it is because of the frozen food.
That is right.
One of the problems with lobsters is that they're shipping lobster by air freight. So you can get lobsters practically any place. You can get oysters from New England down in, where did I see oysters? In Houston, Texas.
Sure,
They're
yeah,
opening
that's right.
Blue Point
Right.
oysters and Cape Cod oysters.
Correct.
So that there's a bigger market for the seafood.
Before this thing came up, let's say about maybe 20 million people to 25 would eat fish. Those that were closer to fish markets such as New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and so on. Now, in every smallest part of the country where they have a freezer, they have fish, or they could have fish. So you
Does that
see
have
this
to do with the
multiplies
mania
this
to
to
be thin?
200
It's
million
that's
people.
right here, yes. It's high, fish is high protein.
You eat a lot of fish?
Constantly eating fish.
Bluebird.
It's the most stunning advertisement for fish I've ever seen.
Any diet doctor will tell you that first, the number one fish, number one food to consume is fish. Number two, chicken, veal, and last, beef.
And then chocolate cake.
But, it's interesting, though. I was looking at some of our old menus, and chicken used to be more expensive than beef. Chicken was a luxury back in the 20s, 30s.
Right,
And
now-
then now they have these factories where they just produce
Mass-produced,
chicken.
yes.
You mean the egg goes in one end and it comes out of frozen chicken over there.
Yes,
Chicken's cheap.
But the
Cereal.
other thing is that that's not the kind of quality that we serve. I mean, we don't serve frozen fish, I'm sure many of us here, and we don't serve those kind of chickens, most of us. So the fact that something is cheaper for some people and more wide doesn't really affect us because we're buying the highest quality, and that makes it more expensive.
Cyril, in this glorious restaurant you have, what do people tend to order most? Veal, fish, meat, veal, beef?
We sell. We use a lot of fish. Really, we have about 30% of my item in the menu is fish, and we prepare in different form. We have one of the very well liked is the broiled flounder and a few other things which are simple but also the more elaborate.
Are you part of that Nouvelle Vague
I would like to
cooking?
say that we are trying to be part of a good way of cooking. You know, it's just a bad way of cooking and a good way of cooking. The Nouvelle, yes, the Nouvelle is the idea of being using less butter, less cream, but not to the extreme of this concoction. That sometimes it can be a very good thing to do once, but if you keep on having your menu, chicken sauté with the melon or raspberry, after a while, people that come 3 or 4 times a week in your restaurant, they like to go back to your more interesting, yeah, really. No, we try, but you do something, again, many people say, well, the menu are always the same. Of course, the menu is the same. You have a fish, chicken, veal, and beef are there. But then once you try to go out of that line and have your chef really working from 7 in the morning to prepare some specialty done with, then you find out that, you know, if people is nice to you, especially if you go to somebody and say, try my specialty today, they do. But then after the second time they go to the metro, now that is gone, can I have my usual thing, you know? Exactly. So you really have to know also what you...
SIRIO, it's very true that people go to different restaurants and they associate that restaurant with certain dishes that they've enjoyed there time after time. And when a head waiter will recommend something that they would like the customer to try, they will do it, as SIRIO says, but next time they come in, they'll go right back to the things that they have associated with the wonderful times they've had at the restaurant and they know that are always good there.
I'll tell you what I've sold a lot of for your restaurant. I'm always sitting with someone at 21 and I say, have you ever tried mushrooms a la dame?
Oh, yes.
And they say, no. What is that? I say, never mind explaining it. Order it.
Right.
And then they become hooked, you know?
Well, that particular dish was brought to us by a customer who had been a world traveler, Mr. Earl Dome. And he found that particular dish while traveling through Belgium. And he, as many other customers, have recommended dishes to all of us. We tried that dish, and we liked it ourselves so much that we put it on the menu. And it has become one of our most successful appetizers.
Is that how it became mushrooms a la dame?
Yes.
If I did something with curried eggs, could it be eggs a la Susskind?
Yes, but they have to be darn Susskind.
We'll be right back after a pause. Am I right that there's something indefinable about the great restaurant that you want to come back again and again? It's beyond the food. It's a total experience. I mean, I love 21. I love to go to Maxwell's Plum. Gloucester House is great. Le Cirque, SARDI'S, Charcuterie, LUCHOW'S, they're experiences.
True, and depending upon the mood that you're in, before you've made your decision as to where you're going that evening, what is it that you want? Do you want a change of pace? Do you want to be in a quiet surrounding? Do you want to have gourmet food? Do you want to be well served? Or do you want to have a casual, relaxing time? And depending upon what you and your companion are looking for in your business luncheon, in your social engagement, that would determine, to me, I know what would cause a customer to want to come to your place. Or to,
I think it's a show, and as you say, it can be a quiet show, but that's really what a restaurateur does, is he creates a theater. And within that theater, he creates a mood, and that is all the things that we've spoken about. And when the customer comes in the restaurants that last, there is a feeling that's created which is like theater, and that's why they like it. It's that same magic that you get when you go to a wonderful theater, you get in a wonderful restaurant. It's all the different things that are a part of it that make that work, and that's the indefinable something.
Casting it right.
That's it.
Casting it right. Getting the formula, the details to work right for whatever the item you're handling is. Dedicated, hard work, drive that it takes.
You do an awful lot of decorating with your chandeliers.
Me, yes, I overdo.
I had dinner at the Lanes last night, because I think she's the greatest in the world. And now, Elaine, there is no decor. I mean, you tell me what color the walls are. What's on the
Oh,
floor?
there are
no
no color
walls.
customers. That's the point.
But there's this whole show going on, the people
right,
coming,
the
and
customers.
all the different types of people. And it's very exciting. Half the time you don't even know what you're eating. And there's all this activity, the people that go there.
Half the time you say, is that spaghetti?
I think there's a common denominator in all this, which are two words that I always try to use when I analyze either our places or someone else. One is expectation of the customer. In other words, what is it that you have created to make the customer want to go? And the most important part is the performance. Did you fulfill that expectation? And if you fulfill it, whatever it is you are, whether you're Elaine's and it's the ambiance and the people, and you went there to meet some people or see some people and they were there and the food was good and the drinks were good and you stayed, then you're happy with that, that performance, that expectation has been fulfilled. It's a little bit like LUCHOW'S. I mean, people go there for an evening of entertainment. They go there for music, for the oompa band, for the ambiance, for the food. But it's the whole package. It's not one piece. And if we're good, when people leave, they say, boy, that was everything I wanted it to be. And they'll come back, and they'll tell their friends to come back. And if we don't do that, then they won't. And I think those are the ingredients when you look around this forum or any group of restaurants that make the great ones succeed.
Is your clientele part of your attraction? You all have very glamorous clientele.
Sure.
It is.
At your restaurant the other night, there was the owner of the New York Times, there was Lauren Bacall, there was Molly Parnas. At your restaurant on any day, there's the President of the United States or the governor or... is it that? Do they come to Stargaze?
Yesterday we had Queen Juliana of Italy, which she came in taxi, very nice. And then next to it was somebody which nobody knew who he was. Really, I can find out. He had 2 security guards, so I really, you don't know what is going on. But I really feel that they are part, and they communicate with them. They are almost the same cast, you know. They come back and I say, was this thing done all right? Of course, I don't lose track with food. I was born in a restaurant all the time. And matter of fact, I start before in the kitchen than in the front. So food for me is very important for everybody, for every restaurant. But the customer, the client that comes there and come 2-3 times a week, it has to be. You have to have the feeling that you want to come back. It's part of the restaurant,
Right.
You know, because
in New York, each of our restaurants are different kinds of showcases, and people do come in to people watch. There's no question about it, and it's not a question of whether they're coming to see. Yes, people do want to come to see celebrities, and at our restaurants,
And they
all of
want
our
to be seen.
restaurants, you do see them. But at all kinds of restaurants, people come to be with people, to see the kinds of people that there are to be seen and what is around. And depending upon your mood, once again, it's important for them for you to have in your restaurant a show of people that will attract other people to your restaurant as well.
An audience, an audience. You need an audience.
I think it's important to have a mix. I mean, it's nice to have people that people recognize, but when you're in New York, there's so much of that. There's so many people that other people recognize that they are really everywhere. So you need a mix, and you need people from all walks of life, and I think that mix is what gives a restaurant its excitement.